Hi, so I've got no incense to burn today, so I'll just get straight into it, because normally I take up the first 10 seconds with burning a bit of Palo Santo. In this message, what I'm seeing is, I'm seeing a woman, right? But this message can be for a man or a woman. It really doesn't matter. However, in my vision, I'm seeing a woman, and I'm seeing her in a marketplace, and she's walking through this marketplace, and what I'm specifically drawn to is her hairstyle. Her hairstyle, it's in an intricate plait, and she has long hair, and she's walking around this marketplace. She's in amongst all of the people, but she's feeling very disassociative. She is not connecting to them whatsoever. She's feeling very much isolated within her own body. Now her hair, this is symbolic to how she feels inside, because what she's done is, the easiest thing to do would be just to put it in a ponytail. That would be quick. But she has took the time to weave her hair in a plait, and so she is locking her hair, and symbolically what she's doing is she is harnessing energy and security within her hairstyle, and very much in the same way as a person who would feel some security from wearing a cap, a baseball cap, or putting their hood up. She's very much doing that with her hairstyle, and very much the same thing is going on with her clothes. There is nothing that baggy, that everything is skin tight, so everything is hugging her figure, and again to create this feeling, this sense of security, because she does not feel comfortable walking through this marketplace, which is just a world. It's just represents the world on a smaller scale. So in this scene, she's walking through a marketplace, but very much walking through the whole world. This is how she feels when she is amongst other people. And so she's walking through this marketplace, and she is almost a prisoner within herself in an environment like this, because she cannot identify with all of the other people around her. And in the same vein, she also senses that they can't identify with her. And so I originally, like last night, I got this message, and I was lying in bed, and it was like 2-3 o'clock in the morning. And at that time, I could only record it on my phone, just as a voicemail, as a voice message. So what I might do at the end of this video is I might stick it on the end, just in case there is anything I miss as I'm rechanneling it now. But what I saw was, I saw this woman as a child, and so simultaneously the market has now merged with a school playground. So the marketplace it's taking place in a school playground. So there's a significance here to how this woman felt as a child and how she feels now. And looking at her in school, she is just crouched down with her back to the wall, and I can see somebody else in her vicinity, and they seemingly are doing the exact same thing. However, they are far away from her. Still, she is not attracting anybody into her personal space, even when seemingly they look the same as her, and seemingly they are in the same place. And so what I'm being shown is a balloon to signify a birthday, and more importantly, all of the birthdays in between being a child to this woman to herself as she is in this marketplace. And these two are merging, and there's a message here in that. So what's happening is this woman, she is aware of her feelings and she is responding to her nervous system. And she did the very same thing when she was a child and she was at school. And she hasn't really gained any further insight into this. She doesn't know why this is, but she's finding it harder and harder to deal with herself in the world and finding her place in the world. And so I'm being shown a series of birthdays in between these two versions, these two stages of this woman, and they are both linked together. So she's very much been like this for a long time, and she feels like the foreigner in the world. She feels like the alien, or everyone else is the alien, and she is the only human. Very much a feeling of isolation. But when I was channeling this message yesterday, hold on, I'll try and get back there. I know the overall message, but I want to try and get back into the stream. What was being brought to the attention was that this woman, she was feeling an emptiness and an absence of something in herself, and this was coming through to her as there being a problem with the outside world. And it's not really that it was her fault for looking at things like this. She only knew what she knew. And to give an example of what I mean, it's like when you are a child and you go to somebody else's house, a friend from school, and you realize that they have a completely different family to you, but because your family was the only family you had ever known, you thought that was normal. And the more you visit friends' houses, the more your interpretation of normal changes. And so she has always known this emptiness and this empty feeling, and the reason why she has always felt this empty space inside of herself is because she's never actually poured into herself. And that is why she cannot connect to other people, and that is why the world always looks unfamiliar to her. And it's because she has never developed her own character, her own personality, because she has never poured into herself. She has never built up interests. She has never spent time doing things, hobbies, learning things. She has never acted on her own heart's desire to fill her up with a multitude of different things which would enable and allow her to connect with other people and to find a place in the world. And other people obviously feel the same. She's walking through this marketplace and she doesn't even register. They don't even see her. It's almost like she is invisible, and she is looking at them and she's waiting to make eye contact, but they never do. They never see her. In a crowd, they would never find her. And so the message is to spend some time pouring into yourself. Find out what you enjoy, what you like doing. Spend your time doing what you like doing. Make yourself feel good. Act on your desires. And what the message is ultimately promising is that when you do this, you will have built up an understanding of yourself and who you are. Therefore, when you look out into the world, you will notice others who feel the same, others who are resonating with the same frequency, and it will get easier, and it will become clearer where you can fit in the world. But right now you are an empty vessel, so you have nothing to connect to. You cannot tether onto somebody else's tether. You cannot make the connection because you do not know what you are connecting. You have no clue who you are, and so you need to pour into yourself and develop this person. Discover who you are. You've just never discovered who you are. That's not your fault, but this is a time to act. And now you need to pour into yourself, and you need to figure out what it is you enjoy. What are you living for? Because it ain't your 9 to 5. It isn't all of the things that you're made to do. It has got nothing to do with the system. Why you are alive has nothing to do with the system. And so you need to understand that who you are is the person outside of the system. It's something completely different. And so if you do that, you will not feel the way you do right now. You will not feel so isolated. You will not feel so trapped. You will not feel so lonely, right? Because when you know who you are, you can never be lonely, because you understand yourself. When you understand yourself, you can be a friend to yourself, and you're never lonely. You can never be lonely if you are with yourself. And that's like the sum of the whole message. And I really do think I will attach the audio to the end of this message, and you can just listen to it, because I think it went on for about 30 minutes, and I was explaining everything as it was coming up, all the images, etc. It's sometimes very hard to do that the second time around. What normally happens is you get a different set of images that take you to the same place, because all the images and symbols is just language to be interpreted. So normally I can, fully rechannel the message, but sometimes messages are a little bit more rich with visual symbology, and you kind of go on the train of imagery, and this message in particular was one of them. I was more drawn to the clairvoyant part of it as opposed to claircognizance. So I really do think I am going to actually attach that message onto the end of this. It just won't have picture, but the audio will be there, and the full message will be there. But I did pull some cards, in relation to the cards, and in relation to this process that you're about to undergo, is very much shadow work as well. It's very much integrating your shadow, because that's probably something else that you haven't done specifically because you've never poured into yourself. So you probably don't even have much self-awareness of yourself. You obviously don't, because you don't know who yourself is yet. And really what I'm seeing is that this is a process which all humans need to do, and this is the way that you become a master of your own emotions, and you learn how to self-regulate. And what I'm also saying is that depending on how well you can self-regulate, depending on how how long you can maintain a good mood for, that really affects the outlook that you have. And you know, so there's this good version of yourself, there's this bad version of yourself. There's the bad version is this version that's walking around this marketplace now. It's this version that is in despair. It is this version that feels helpless, has no power, therefore is very much in victim mode all of the time. And what I mean by that is that's how everything is being received, as if you are being attacked, as if you are being rejected. And so I'm seeing you looking into yourself, and I'm seeing that it's all dependent on how much you pour into yourself as to how you see yourself, how you see yourself when you look into the mirror. And right now, when you look into the mirror, you probably don't see anything. You don't know what you're looking at. You don't know what's staring back. And, you know, that's just reflecting your current state and the fact that you don't know who you are. And you just need to find out who you are. You just need to start that journey. You just need to start that process. And the process of mastering your own emotions, the process of self-regulation and understanding who you are, what makes you tick, what you like, what you don't like. And then once you go on this journey, once you go through this process, your frequency will change. And the frequency that you give off to other people will be a different frequency. And what you'll find is that when you are walking through that marketplace in the future, all of those people who didn't see you before, some of them will be looking at you. Some of them will recognize your frequency. So the world will very much open up and change for you, all depending on your perspective. And right now, your perspective, it's not the right one. It's not the right one because you don't have all of the information. So the message is to pour into yourself, discover yourself, try and find out what it is that you like, what you love, what makes you tick, what stirs you, what you're passionate about. Really embrace everything, open yourself up, be kind to yourself. It's a journey, you know. Forgive yourself along the way. It's also not a sprint. Take your time. As long as you're on the path, that's good enough. Every day is a new day. Every day is a day where you know more. If you walk the path of discovery, if you are on the journey of discovery, every day is a success. One of the images that I got yesterday, which has been brought back to my attention, is this image of machinery. And it's a very intricate piece of machinery, and it has lots of cogs, etc. And going back to what I was saying about your hair and your clothes, this is very much who you are right now. You're a piece of machinery, very mechanical. You can only move in certain directions. And one of the things which I was shown was that when you back off from the picture in the marketplace, when you walk backwards, that marketplace gets wider, right? And you get more of the image in your peripheral, because that's what happens when you go further away. When you go closer to an object, it fills up your entire visual field. But when you go backwards, when you step out of the picture, when you retreat, you can see more of the picture. And so, as well as, you know, moving out of that environment to pour into yourself, and what you gain from pouring into yourself, you can also stand there and you can see more of the picture that you weren't looking at before. and you can begin to appreciate the macrocosm and how there's always another layer that we can see. There's always another depth. And I feel like part of the message is to get you to wake up to the fact that there is more expanse. Everything is more expansive than you think, and especially everything is more expansive than what you think it is when you are in a moment where you don't feel good. Because when you don't feel good, nothing looks good. Everything is dimmed slightly. However, when you're in a good mood, everything is brighter. And it's all about the mood. It's all about the frequency. That's where it all begins. So I'm seeing expanse. I'm seeing the world expanding, your life expanding, your spirit, your soul expanding, your consciousness expanding. And it's almost like when you begin, and this momentum will begin, and you won't be able to stop that momentum. It's almost like you're a car, and imagine you're in a race and you're with lots of other cars, and it's like 3, 2, 1, go, and all the other cars, they go, but your engine doesn't start, and that's all it is. But once your engine starts, you're going to soar, and you're going to be off, and you're going to be with the rest of those cars at the head of the pack. It's also something very much about when you look into yourself, it may seem like you're a little bit afraid as to what you might find, and that's just what everyone would feel when they are looking into the unknown. Because again, you're looking into infinite possibility, you're looking into expanse. And if you're somebody who is trying to create the sense of security in yourself, and you are like, you're weaving your hair together into an intricate plait, and every time you cross, you are creating locks, and subconsciously you're creating strength, and you are wearing clothes that are hugger fitting. Hugger fitting. What am I trying to say? Hugging your figure. You're trying to create this sense of security, and when you look into a mirror, when you look into infinite possibility, you are suddenly met with space and an expanse. And you might interpret this as a void, but it is energetically a void because it has not been filled. But that's what pouring into yourself will achieve. That's what pouring into yourself will give to you. It will give you the sense of who you are for the first time in your life. So I'm going to leave that there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the audio version of the message because it is longer. It just won't have picture, but I really do want to make sure I get everything in there. So thanks for watching. I hope that this finds the right person. I know that it will, and I hope that you can walk into this. I hope that you can leave that marketplace, right, with a new sense of direction, because that is what you're lacking at the moment. You're lacking the direction to go in, and you've been struggling thinking that there was no direction left, and really all that's been happening is that your perception was very narrow, it was very limited. That's all that was wrong. And I hope that that this message can awaken you to the fact that there is another perception. There always is, and each perception has the ability to free you and to move you forward in your life, and sometimes at great speed. I'll see you next time. I'm seeing a woman walk through a marketplace, and her hair is in a big plait. It's plaited. And she has a baseball cap on. And I'm with her as she walks around. And I'm feeling her energy. And her energy is sort of focused, business-like. She's there with a purpose. But at the same time, she seems like she doesn't know what she's there for. But she gives me the feeling that she's prepared for something. And I say, yeah, looking around, almost as if she can't find what she's looking for. I get the sense that she feels like she's out of place. And perhaps she's trying to find something familiar. And she can't, and so she feels slightly anxious. I feel like what I'm seeing is sort of like what her head is filled up with. So her head is filled up with impressions of a world and impressions of existence. But they're very much like what you would find on social media. It's very much shown to me in this sense of lots of miscellaneous, seemingly random topics, all mixed together, as in, like scrolling through your feed, a never-ending feed that just has so many random things stitched together. And so it's almost like there's a separation happening between the thoughts of this person and the world that she's in, and the one that she sees and the one that she interacts with. And there's a split. And she's momentarily lost her feeling of what is real, and she's questioning what is real. She is disassociating. That's what's happening. She's walking around feeling disassociated. And so she's very much in her head when she's walking around and disconnected from the other parts of herself. She's very much trying to figure out her mind. Which is why I feel like her hair, it's in a, she's put thought into it. She hasn't just put a bobble in her head and wearing a ponytail. That would have been the easiest thing to do. But she weaved her hair. She locked it. She created. She trapped energy in her hair. She locked it together. So I'm always getting this feeling like in Avatar, I'm seeing Avatar when they connect themselves to the animals when they want to ride them. And it's almost like the thought that she put into her hair, it wasn't just hair. She was energetically creating something that held power and resonance and self-confidence. It's a bit like what I'm saying now is when somebody would wear a cap for the same thing, because it gives them this sense of having more power, or it gives them the sense that they're hidden, even though they're not hidden, but they have some cover, and so they don't feel so exposed. And so it's giving her this sense of security. So the manipulation of her hair, her taking the time to do something a little bit more intricate and locking it together, it's almost as if she is strengthening her hair by weaving it together and interlocking it. And so she's created some strength in her hairstyle. And as I say, in the same way that you would wear a cap, or in the same way that you might wear a jacket but flip the collar up, because psychologically it triggers something. It triggers a memory of security. So it's very much like this energy of, so if you can close it, you close it. If you can tie it, you tie it. So the zip goes all the way to the top of the jacket. The hair, it all gets braided. And so it is all together and compact. The collar goes up. The cap goes on. The boots get laced up properly. There's no loose clothing. Everything is hugging to the skin. So this woman is very much creating a sense of security in herself, because she doesn't actually feel it in the external world when she's out in the world and she's walking around. I'm seeing that she feels like she is different. And she feels like she doesn't quite fit in. She doesn't quite fit into her surroundings. And she doesn't quite know what she's doing. She doesn't quite know what her calling is. So maybe she's at this stage of awareness that things have shifted, things are different. She's outside of the picture frame. She doesn't know how to get back in it. She senses that she might never get back in, but she doesn't know where to go as an alternative. I'm saying machinery, and the machinery is the mirror of what she's trying to create in herself. She's trying to harness energy, she's trying to lock it into a fixed position, and she's trying to use it to feel a sense of security and order and function. And so this piece of machinery, I'm saying, it's very much showing me the mechanisms all working together. I feel like she's trying to put herself together. She's trying to make herself stronger. so she feels stronger in this uncomfortable environment, in this unfamiliar place, because it's very much feeling like she's the foreigner, or everyone else is all the foreigners. Either way, it's the same result. She also may be painfully aware of everything that she isn't normally aware of about herself, and that might be uncomfortable. But this is both the beginning of something and the transition from one thing into another. It's stepping into a journey of discovery. So there's a time period where this comes together, and she is entering into this time period of discovering, and through discovery, putting the necessary building blocks into place that create natural strength within her. So I'm seeing like a wall now. Actually, it's like a gold brick wall. So it's not only a functional wall of strength, a wall that will stand the test of time, it's also an attractive wall. So this would symbolize to me that what you will get out of this journey is something more than what you're initially looking for, which is an inner strength, it's an inner strength that you want to transmit that inner strength into the outer world, and you want that to be reflected back to you in others. You want some kind of recognition from these strangers, these people who you can't quite connect with. You want to feel like you do belong. So, no, you want acceptance for who you are, whoever that is. And you want acceptance for being different. You don't quite know who you are in this whole picture yet, but you know enough to know that you don't fit in the picture as a copy of any other person that is in that picture. You are unique, and you can't figure out how you fit in yet. You can't figure out how you will be accepted yet because you're very much ignored in this picture. The people aren't noticing you. You're noticing all of them, but they're not noticing you. And you wonder why. So I see you looking into your memories, realizing that they're just memories now. They're not physical places that you can visit or that you can go to, except for in your mind's eye. And you have no relationship with the future. You have no inclination as to what the future is. But the past has very much gone, and you are in the present, and you are ever present in this present, and you are probably paying more attention to the moment than you ever have had before, and you're realizing it in a way that you never expected you would. You're seeing what is not there. You're seeing what is missing, and what you're seeing that is missing is you. You are missing from this picture. There's something about a child energy. Maybe a child has passed. Maybe for some of you, a child has passed. Because I'm seeing the child's face and I'm seeing the gravestone. Maybe this is the feeling that you have in the wake of losing a child. And this is how you feel. And you can no longer connect. You can no longer connect with the picture. So this might be significant for somebody. You must take whatever resonates and leave what doesn't. Sometimes I give very specific details because I get very specific details. But at the same time, in the nature of how the medium as to which this message is going out to, the medium, it's going into the awareness of so many people. Therefore, this message is expansive and it has infinite potential to match up with so many people who are going through this experience. So there will be many people going through similar situations all at once. And so we must, in this case, look at it as taking what resonates and leaving what doesn't. Or maybe that is significant for somebody, and that this is why you have this feeling, this disassociative feeling, and not being able to connect with anything anymore, because right now nothing makes sense, because you can't understand why a child has left so young, so early. And I'm being brought to a school. But the school is very much in this. It is one with this market. This market is suddenly on the premises of a school. So you've got this aspect of your deep past because you're an adult. But I'm seeing a school where children go to, like secondary school. And I'm seeing what I feel like is a child that is you, and they are also sitting down, they're resignedly sitting down against a wall with their back to a wall, and they look defeated. They look the same, disassociative. They are also looking exactly as you are now. They are also struggling to find their place. They are also struggling to understand where they fit and where they're supposed to go. And what they're showing me now is that they're showing me a balloon, but they're showing me it's representative of birthdays. And so from that child to who you are now, there's been several birthdays. I'm getting this sense that every year has been the same. So it's almost like this mood has been marking time. This mood has been marking time. So for some of you, or someone in particular, maybe there's something to do with a child that has passed, but for others it is this sense that you've always felt like this, and so many years have passed, many birthdays have came and went, and you still feel the same. And what I want to say to you is, maybe you don't fit, and maybe there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe you're not here to fit. You're here just to be who you are in spite of that. And here's the thing, I dare you to do that and just see what happens. Stop looking for where you fit and just pour into yourself and see what you come up with. Find the joy in yourself that you have for life, for things in life. Find out, if you don't know already, what you like, what you might like doing, and pursue things for yourself. Pursue the things that you want to experience. Follow your desires. Concentrate on that. Concentrate on yourself and build the world. Build your own world. Maybe that's part of the problem. You're trying to fit into other people's worlds when really you have to create your own. You have to develop your own personality by pouring into yourself, following up on the things you desire, and seeking them out and experiencing them and letting them affect you, letting yourself change, develop, grow. And you will probably end up in a world where you fit. And then once you're in that world, you will be able to look through a window into a parallel world that looks exactly the same. You will fit in the community that goes with whatever that interest is, or whatever that group of interests are, or you will become a certain type of person, and so you will know where to look to find people like you. You will realize that you fit somewhere. And I feel like that is the message. It's about pouring into yourself and developing who you are. Then you will have a sense of where to go. Perhaps you've never done that yet. Perhaps you've never poured into yourself, and so you're looking to be a part of somebody else's world, and you can't be, because you haven't yet developed an identity, and that's why when you're walking around, nobody is looking at you because they do not see you yet. They don't see you because you have no identity. People can't see what you're about by looking at you because you've never bought into yourself. You've never spent the time on yourself. And as I'm saying this, it's like I'm zooming out of the picture, but it's creating this illusion that the picture is getting bigger because it's getting further away. And so as it moves further from me, or I move further back from it, I'm getting more of the picture in my peripheral, because as it is traveling away from my view, my gaze, it's also getting wider, and I'm seeing more of the picture as I move away, or it moves away from me. So I'm also getting a sense of expansion, of expanse, of there being more space and the world getting bigger. When you step away from the world and you pour into yourself, the world does not seem so small, it seems expansive. And where you can find space, you can find room for new things, and you can find space. Where there is space, you can inhabit. You can inhabit that space. And the more space that you can see and the more space that you can find means the further you can travel. The more movement you have, the more options, the more opportunities. Because there is infinite space to hold those opportunities and to hold those spaces to be occupied. The buildings are also growing taller now. So it's almost like your vision was left, right, and straight forward, and also looking backwards in your memories. And also your vision, since you step back and you pour into yourself and you spend time on yourself, and then all of a sudden you're looking up and you realize there's another direction to go. And that one is just infinite. You can't see the end of the sky. So that creates even more, the feeling of even more expansiveness, limitless potential. And so the message here is very much about stepping back from the picture and pouring into yourself and calibrating yourself. And then when you look again with new eyes, you will see the world differently. But pour into yourself, build the person that you are, find out what you like, what you enjoy, what makes you tick, and work to integrate all those things into your being, into your everyday life. Because the more you feel good, the more hopeful you will be, the easier it will be to have faith. And And when you create strength in yourself, real strength that resides in you, that resides in your spine, in your back, then it will be there every day when you wake up, when you go to bed at night, because you will have built it up in your vessel, in your spirit, in your soul, and so it will go with you wherever you go, no matter what kind of hairstyle you have.